Good morning, everyone. It is the day after Super Tuesday, and how super was it? It was very super, Garrett, as you may know or may not know. We'll talk about that in a second, but first, let us tell you who today's show is brought to you by, which is Black Desert. And we got a little video here that while it plays, I'm going to say some things. So you see this video here, and then you've got me in the bottom right screen. Black Desert is committed to one thing above all, fostering an endlessly fun and fascinating resort community without any pretense that puts the remarkable within reach. Home to a PGA FedEx Cup and LPGA event, Black Desert offers world-class golf, hospitality, dining, shopping, and recreation in a stunning 600 acre, I think that's supposed to be acre canvas, in the heart of Greater Zion in southern Utah. It is actually incredible.
It is top notch.
It's
I've
unbelievable.
played it once, and it was fantastic.
It's an unbelievable development that they've got going on there. And they've taken in Entrada, right? Like the old
Yes, I believe
Entrada
so.
is now part of that. And yeah.
Yeah.
Have we ever had a PGA event before?
Not since the 50s.
Wow.
Yeah, so big deal.
Congratulations, Black Desert. That's
They're-
super cool. Check them
they're
out.
hustling.
Black Desert, get a membership, do all the things that you should do there. All right, let's talk about Super Tuesday and how super it was, Garrett. It looks like Trump is going to be the Republican nominee.
Yeah, it was a good Tuesday for the Donald. And I believe Nikki Haley is bowed out. But it was...
She's out?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She won Vermont, and then Trump won the rest by...
He won Vermont.
No, she won Vermont.
Oh, I see.
The rest were Trump, and pretty big margins, pretty big vote.
Dominated Utah, although one of his smaller margins, actually. Maybe his smallest, if I'm reading this correctly, margin of victory.
Yeah.
And only plus 15 here in the state of Utah.
Yep. The rest are in the 50s, 60s, 70s.
Hmm.
So the die has been cast, and it's a rinse and repeat, which I don't have any issues with. It's going to be fun.
I think most of America has an issue with it, but
We'll all be fine.
who cares?
We'll all be fine. We're still in America. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. And I actually don't personally. This is like a conspiracy theory. I don't think Biden is going to be the Democratic nominee. So crazy. How
yeah.
crazy is that?
Hot take.
That's a hot take on a Wednesday. All right, introduce our guests. Let's stop talking about politics,
Yeah.
Garrett.
The streak we've had of interesting people is going to continue. Mike Hawker, VP of Operations at CoDev, is his day job, but he's a very interesting person on the side as well. Crazy enough to run massive distances.
Yeah.
Father, part of the Oker Foundation, and we were chatting a little bit before. Very well-rounded. So welcome to the show, Mike. We appreciate you being here. Tell us a little bit about CoDev, what your role is there, and what you all do.
Yeah. So again, like you said, my day job is every day I go to work, and we supply offshore developers from the Philippines. And I know I'm a little bit biased, but I truly believe at the deepest level that the Philippines are the greatest place to go find people to work for tech companies. English is incredible. Their education is amazing, and how they treat other people is just out of this world. So I love that group of people. And so that's what we do. Some, tech companies from here and across the country, most English-speaking countries across the world will come to us. We help them find people across our five offices in the Philippines. And then I run the operations for them, which I have a handful of people here, and then the majority of my team is there in the Philippines. So,
How often are you out there?
once to twice a year. It's a really long trip. And I probably should be out there more, but one or two times a year.
Okay.
So our CEO is out there constantly, and it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
So
How did that get started? What was the idea and why? I've heard this from all sorts of sources now. Why are the Philippines so good?
So the Philippines, to me, it's like, so I guess let me go back 4 years. I got a call from a buddy that had acquired CoDev. They had been around now for about 14 years. He had acquired them and said, hey, let's pour some gas on the fire and let's get this really going. So he brought me over from a SaaS company that I was working from in the automotive industry. And we did. Like, we started really getting it growing and moving. And the founders went over there just because of that same reason. It's like, look, we have a footprint here and a handful of people that they knew. And it was really easy to go find people that were really well educated, that could plug into the dev world here. I think one of the biggest things in other countries is there's a little bit more of a language barrier than there is in the Philippines. They start learning English from kindergarten all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you start talking to dev leads at companies here in the US that are looking to save some money, it is a major plus that they can sit in meetings and talk through things with people that understand every single thing that they're trying to tell them to do, in where other countries maybe struggle just a little bit more, or the accent sometimes is a little bit thicker than maybe the Philippines and things like that. So I think that's a huge thing. And then just the way that they go about treating everything is Sir Mike or Sir Garrett. Like, they're the most respectable people I've ever met. That being said, they're the most humble. Like, you guys talk about, hey, we're still in America when we're talking about politics, like everything's going to be all right. When I go there, it is just, they are the most humble, amazing people that you could just ever. So I think all of that combined together makes them just the people that they are and how amazing they are to work with. So, yep.
Very cool. And you can have all sorts of advantages in life, but if you have good manners, you're in the fight. And that's something I've heard a lot about that country and that culture, and that's commendable. It's not easy to have good manners all the time.
I agree.
So the process to decide if it's a good fit, somebody reaches out and says, we need X, buy X, and we can pay X.
Yep, that's exactly right. So typically, and right now it's great because as we go through the economy, in times it gets a little tough over the past year. We've seen people in tech companies tighten up a little bit, and they come and say, hey, we need somebody where in the US they're going to be X amount. We need somebody at this budget. And we say, fantastic, and our sales team will take that over. And they work with a recruiting team, and we have a funnel of hundreds and hundreds of people that are looking for jobs there in the Philippines. Whether they're just coming out, they're a junior dev or a senior dev, they let us know the skill sets they need. And we have that recruiting team that's just putting feelers out, and they'll bring in people, and we set up the interviews, and we go through everything top to bottom. And we kind of order take, right? And we find that person, and then we get them on interviews. And it just becomes like you and I looking for a job here, and we sit down and we get the interviews going. The employee is interviewed by the company that they would work for. And then let's say that employee gets hired. They would pass it over to my team in the ops. We would onboard them, take them through hopefully what would be a long relationship from that point. We're not a project shop. We don't like to do, a 2 to 3 month quick build out of something like an app. We want these people to have long-term, like really healthy jobs for them to be able to change, hopefully them and their families' lives. And I think that's the biggest thing for us is as long as we can supply these long-term jobs for these people, like that's, we're doing what we feel. I can come home and be like, I kind of made a little bit of a difference today. So that's the process. They come to us, tell us what we want. We take the order, we find it. We handle everything on the backside. And when I say that, it's all their benefits, all that stuff. They just go to work for that company every single day, and that company just pays us at the end of the month.
So these candidates work for you.
That's right. They work for us.
And then the companies pay you. Yeah, that's.
Yep.
I'm sure that makes it way easier for the companies because you figured out how to hire, all the kind of crazy details that would come with hiring out of the country.
Yep. They don't have to worry about any of the taxes in the Philippines. We take care of everything. They just show up to work for them every single day. We've seen some amazing things lately as we've grown and really just kind of put the pedal down on the floor. I had a company reach out the other day and say, hey, like we want to offer stock to these team members in the Philippines. And like for somebody over that's a for us here, that's a life-changing thing, right? If things work out, that is a life-changing thing. And now we've had a handful of companies that are offering stock to our team members in the Philippines. And that's what we want is these long-term employees that are getting the same treatment as somebody that sits across from you. And it's just an incredible thing to see when done right, being able to manage these remote employees and being able to have them not worry about anything, but just saying, hey, you're on our team and we're going to take care of you just like we do anybody else, works into this really cool kind of story in the end. So.
Oh, for sure. And the main city in the Philippines, is that where you guys are headquartered?
Yep, Cebu.
Cebu.
So we're in Cebu is our main office. Then we have multiple offices in Manila, Davao, and Bacolod. So
Very cool.
Yep.
And these could be front end, back end,
yep,
anything.
anything we've got. I mean, we can find any developer from hard to easy, front end, back end, web developers. I mean, yeah, anything that can extend your tech team or IT team, we can definitely find.
Why do you think they're so good at tech? Like, why do you think that talent pool exists in such a significant way out there?
So education, I think, is driven so hard in that society that I believe that a lot of their schools have a focus on just tech. So I think it's a little bit different here, where you go to a university and it's just like, okay, you decide what my major is going to be. But I'm at this one university, and then this certain major is going to be this. There, it's like, I want to do tech, and I want to go to this university that's really known for that, and you go and just focus on that tech, right? And so I think it's just the fact that education is driven so hard there. And then they're a little bit driven towards tech because I think that a lot of jobs, it's a big blessing to work with some of these offshore companies. And so they know that a path to doing that is, if I want to work with an Australian or an American company, I want to do tech, that'll allow me and open that door to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice thing for your American clients is the sun never sets on their little mini empire, right?
That's exactly right. So one of the biggest thing is, it's really hard. We have companies come to us and say, I want full crossover. So we have to find somebody there that's night shift, right? And they have to work through the night because they're working the daytime here. And it becomes a little bit tougher to find people. But again, that's kind of the culture there. They know at times I'm going to have to work crossover. I'm working with an American company. But as the company grows, we will start to push and sell. Like, my CSM team will be like, hey, let's get some people on Philippine day shift. So as you said, you're never stopping. You have a 24-hour support system, or you're writing code, or your team is being able to create code 24 hours around the clock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is a nice advantage.
For sure.
If you got up from this chair and started running like Forrest Gump, how far could you run, do you think?
Today, right now? Yeah.
You could change your shoes.
Yeah, I could probably run, depending on my pace, a pretty good distance, maybe to my work in Lehigh. I don't know. So,
what got you into like ultra marathons and everything?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I at one point was really like, so I was in athletics all growing up and through high school and all that stuff, like just normal kid. And we were running for punishment. So this running stuff was so different. Like, I hated it. And then in college, I was like, oh, I'm going to start running a little bit because I just feel like I'm getting out of shape. And then when I was working, I was traveling 3 weeks out of the month, excuse me, for this SaaS company, dealer socket that I was working at. And I was just, I had lost my mind in terms of my physical health. Like, it was so bad. So one of my buddies was like, let's train for a marathon. And so we trained for a marathon. We ran together. I actually trained. He didn't. He, like, a week before was like, I guess I better start running. And he ran, and I was like, geez, he looked like he was in so horrible pain at that point. So, and then my thing was like, well, I just finished the marathon, and I worked really hard to get here. I don't want to just let this go. And so, I have a really big problem of impulsivity in my life, which we're working on currently. And in that moment, I was like, I'm going to sign up for 100-miler. I don't know why I went from 26 to 100, but I saw something on YouTube that was like, I guess I could do that. We've all done that with a YouTube video at one point or another in our lives, I think. But so
what does a 100-miler entail? Like, you don't actually run 100 miles nonstop, right? Like, is there breaks and stuff, or how does it work?
Yeah, you run 100 miles nonstop. It's an absurd.
You do?
Yeah, it's stupid.
Oh, I always thought there was a break.
No, it's like you just run.
How do you even do that? How does the human body do that?
Well, he's probably ran further than 100, right?
So I've run up to 240. That's the longest race I've ever run. And that took me 98 hours straight. And
This is absurd behavior, dude.
Trust me, I know. Like, I look at this and I totally understand that it's abnormal, but I will tell you this right now with 100% certainty that either one of you guys could go do this. Like, if you said, I want to do this.
I think I could. I don't think Garrett could.
The love in this room is just, I
would
can
run
just
so much
feel it.
farther
It's
than Clint.
thick. It's thick. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a different sport, and it is a mental game through and through. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That is crazy. How do you like feed yourself? Like honestly, how does it work? Like just the basic questions that you always get asked. Like,
so it's an eating competition. Like how, if I can consume enough calories to keep my body moving, then you're a leg up on the rest. So is what it looks like is, you can't train for 100 miles in terms of, I'm going to go like for a marathon, you get up to like 20, 22 or 23 miles in training. I can't do that in 100 miles. So is what you do is you scale your training to look like you kind of sandwich together big runs. So you run a bunch of miles during the week, and then Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday, you put these big, so you'll run like, I was waking up at like 3 a.m. to run 25 miles before work on a Friday. Then Saturday I would get up and I would run another 25 or 30 miles that day. And it kind of trains your body to run on tired muscles because you just did a big one the day before. So you kind of have to start getting a little more really detailed on why you're doing these runs instead of just going out and putting in big runs because you're going to get hurt. So that's the start. You start building up and you get to the point. Then you get on race day and you get to these aid stations. And there's aid stations depending on the race every 8 to 20 miles. And they are packed with every food you could imagine. I mean, there's people making quesadillas. In the Moab 240, there's one point I ate 2 bacon cheeseburgers in a matter of like 15 minutes while I was just changing and then just got on the road again. And then at another one, I ate a full pizza. Like, it's like, how many calories can I get in me to keep moving? And in the whole race, I lost 17 pounds as well. So like, it's just, it's wild.
That's wild stuff, dude.
Yeah.
How many of those types of races, the really long ones, have you done?
10 plus. Yeah.
Wow.
So I haven't done one in over a year. Seasons, right? I've been so busy with some other stuff that just haven't been able to put that kind of time into running and stuff. So
that is amazing. You mentioned sports growing up, but you did a unique one, right? Rodeo?
I did. I rodeoed. So we talked a little bit about that, and we connected there. We were talking about yesterday's guest, Wood. What was his first name?
Cody, right?
Cody.
Yep.
Yeah, Cody Wood. So we talked about Montana. I worked on a big ranch in Montana, again, an impulse move, and worked up there, got a job on a ranch. The ranch owner had rodeoed his whole life, started getting me into rodeo, rode bareback broncs. That was a whole life ago, man. That was one of the good times.
Young man's game.
That's right.
But being a glutton for punishment, do you find that it helps you in your business career?
Yep, I do. And I think whether it's rodeo, especially because it's what I'm in right now is those endurance sports. There is a massive crossover, and not only in business, but in life in general. Everything that I experience in those runs, I tell people that I experience every emotion in life within that time frame that I'm out on that running course, like in those mountains.
Wow.
And I think that that's what makes people keep going back to doing that, is like, I cry, I laugh, like I'm angry, I'm grateful, like all of these deep emotions that people feel, I feel at one moment or another or multiple on those courses. And then when I look at business and we're trying to grow this business and we're trying to like do all these quote unquote businessy things and grow revenue and do all that, there's times that hurt. There's times that are exciting. There's times that are happy. And they all change. Like, that's the biggest thing for me is like, hey, like, don't ride the highs too high because it's going to change, or don't this low. Like, you're going to come out. There's going to be sunlight. Like, don't worry. And so, yes, every single thing, whether it's rodeo or running, is something that I carry over for sure.
Wait, what type of rodeo were you doing?
I rode bareback broncs. So like, just like you're like a rag doll. Yeah. You're a Spanish Fort guy.
Oh, dude.
You know all about it.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was that? The Wright brothers, you know them?
down from Morgan, Utah.
Yeah.
Right? Beaver area.
Yeah. I
But
know
you
those
also
guys
had
pretty well.
Casey Fields, the Fields
Casey
family.
Fields.
Yep.
Yeah. We've got Spanish Fork is where it's at.
Spanish Fork runs deep.
We've got our own rodeo arena.
Big.
It's better than the Days of 47 rodeo. I always tell Garrett.
Couldn't agree
It actually is better. It's like, and I like the Days of 47 rodeo.
Oh, they're both amazing, and there's nothing better than a rodeo on a summer night.
You never did the bowl though?
Nope, I didn't, and I was never tough enough. You did.
I did.
It scared me.
Dumb enough.
Wait, I didn't know that you rode a bowl.
Yeah, I did high school rodeo.
Whoa!
Look
Rode
at
bulls.
this.
How'd you do?
I've rode 20 bulls in my life, and I've covered 4.
Does that mean you've gotten to 8 seconds?
Yeah.
Gosh, don't give us all these technical terms. Covered 4. So you got to 8 seconds.
Yeah.
On 4 bulls out of 20. That's probably pretty good. What is the professional average? It can't be.
Like, what's the data on this?
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, like when you're at the PBR level, it's probably about that, maybe 15, 20%. And of course, it's all timing. But like on the PRCA rodeo, it's probably 35%.
Yeah.
But you'll see entire short rounds where they don't even cover a bull.
Yep.
It really just depends on the stock and how the Cowboys are feeling that day. But the PBR, where those bulls are like $500,000 and gearing for a fight.
I went to the PBR event that was at the Delta Center recently, and it is ill-advised to ride a bull. That's my biggest takeaway.
And
You feel alive. You feel alive.
You feel alive. And I'm telling you what people don't recognize is those bulls are athletes. And those bulls, it's not, some of those bulls you can stand in a pen with and touch them and pet them, and they're not mean. You get them in there and they know their job and they know exactly what they have to do and they know the moves they've got to do. They body roll and they do all this stuff and the Cowboys go off and that's their job.
Don't they get awards, the bulls themselves too?
Yeah.
Like they get awards throughout, like this has been the best. Like
Yeah.
That's right.
this one's been unrideable. How much of it, honestly, you guys know this. I would never do either of these things that you guys did. I would snap in half, guaranteed. But how much of it is luck? And like when you're coming out of that chute, I imagine like you're kind of guessing which way, things are going to land and stuff. And if you guess wrong, it seems like it's over right there.
Yeah. For the world-class Cowboys, they've got like the scouting reports on the bulls, but
You're
they
kidding.
are wild animals. No.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They do the same thing, these animals.
Interesting.
Like they'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is luck on you being like at your tip-top shape and the bull giving you a good ride because it's a 50-50 score. Same with saddle bronc. If you're really feeling it and you're in a good rhythm and your horse is like going hard, you're going to score well. Same with bulls.
In some ways, saddle bronc is like even worse on your body. When I watch that happen, like they're bucking right into you all the way up to like your head and stuff, right?
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't call it worse. It's a little more controlled than a bull ride, I think. The crazy thing about that is there are a couple more things that you have to do. Like I have to mark out, which means you have to put your spurs up on the shoulders of a horse coming out. And if you don't do that, you're disqualified immediately, right? So you have a little bit of control, but just like Garrett said, it's 50-50. The bull or the horse has an off night, your score's low, and it's just you could have had the ride of a lifetime, but the score's low, and it is what it is at that point.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
That's wild. Rodeo's wild.
it is
And you have to pay to participate, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
you're paying to go do that. It's weird.
Yeah. And you could, drive for 300 miles to the next rodeo, pay your entry fee, and hit the dirt 2 seconds later and hit the road. There's no ribbons for a second.
There's something kind of romantic about that, though.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
amazing. Segueing into something else amazing that requires tenacity and is way cool. An Iditarod, the great mushing race up in Alaska, was forced to fatally shoot an angry moose in a wild encounter on the course. So 5-time Iditarod Trail sled dog race champ old Dallas Seavey was forced to fatally shoot and gut this is a rule in the Iditarod. If you were to shoot a caribou or a moose, you've got to stop and gut it. If you're a racer coming behind, you also have to stop and help gut it, and then you have to call it in to the the rangers and the race authorities as well. But this moose tangled up with his mush dogs, hurt one pretty bad. They took him to Anchorage to get better. But you're all alone out there, right? Like this moose wants to cross sabers and they've got moose up there like God's got little green apples, but mooses are not anything to trifle with. I'm sure that would be a spectacle.
Wait,
right?
does God have a lot of green apples? Is
Yeah.
that okay.
All of the green
So there's a
apples
lot
are
of
God's.
moose up there?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to follow all these crazy terms that you have. That
Well-
is crazy. Wow. I meant like the only thing that's interesting there is why is the dog's life more important than the moose's life?
Well, it's the dogs and the racer. Those are the livelihood, and he gets to defend.
Yeah.
But
You ever seen a moose in person? Those things are huge.
yeah.
I walked
You
up
do-
on a moose.
You do not want to tangle with those.
I would rather see a cat like a cougar than a moose closely, honestly,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
like all day.
Because weirdly, they don't have really good eyesight. So if they're kind of pissed, they're just their impulse is fight and smash and plow. But what an amazing thing that Iditarod, such a great rich tradition. Not
That is
for the
cool.
faint of heart.
Yeah, what are they? Why don't you do that, man? That would be way crazy. I feel like you're like in the shape to do something like that.
I love dogs, and I love endurance, but that seems like you guys remember Iron Will, the movie? I grew up watching Iron Will.
Yeah.
One of the greatest movies to me of all time, and he was the Iditarod guy, like going through, and it just seems miserable to me. Like you are out there in the dark and cold, and it sounds funny. I've been in the dark and cold, like running, but to me, that's just a different level. It
Yeah.
seems too much for me.
And how long does the race go?
It's weeks.
Like how many miles?
Yeah. It's
It's a lot of miles.
Yeah, they cover like 50 to 100 miles a day.
This is wild.
But you're camping with your dogs, and obviously there's plenty of bears and all of that. But the dogs are your lifeline, right? Like if you're down half a team because the moose just kicked their ass, you got problems.
Time to
Yeah, especially like in 1987, right before satellite phones and things like that. But yeah, it would be really fun to watch. I don't know if I'd want to be at the beginning or the end, but I'm sure just like when you finish your races, the end is probably a pretty good party, would be my guess. Pretty good party.
I think being up there for that would be, you get to see the wear, because there's physical wear on these guys. Like there's wind burned. Back in the day, people were losing fingers on these races, like getting fingers cut off at these stops by people, and frostbitten everything. And they have dogs that have passed away, but they won't leave on the trail, so they load them into their sled. Like historically, it's just, I mean, it's gruesome, right? You get to the end and you see these people crossing, and it's almost like it's such a celebration, but also these people are just beat down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very cool. So
That's
if anyone
awesome.
from the Iditarod is listening, we got a possible candidate here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll sit on a sled and just ride on the.
You got to get up and run a lot though too,
Yeah,
right? To save your dogs.
Yep.
Hey, Mike, thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to be here. We need to talk after. I know I got a bunch of Spanish Fork connections family, so I guarantee
yeah?
you'll know them. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
the Clarks, the wrestling family out there.
Oh, yeah. So Jeb?
Jeb, he's my cousin.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I know the
Jeb,
Clarks.
of course it's Jeb.
Jeb Clark.
Shout out to Jeb Clark.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a big wrestling. We're a big wrestling city too.
You guys are wrestling people
Yeah.
out there. Wrestling and rodeo.
Yeah.
I was going to
Wrestling.
say the 2 R's, but that doesn't. That would have made me look bad.
Wrestling, rodeo, and baseball. We're pretty good at baseball too.
Really good baseball.
What else do you have, Garrett?
Joshua Slater from Game Pick is our guest tomorrow, which involves a little bit of gambling, which all three of us happen to love in this room. So
That's
We
cool.
talked a little bit about, some March Madness coming up. Going to sitting at the sports book and yeah,
Oh yeah. A couple rounds are at the Delta Center this year.
that's right.
It'd be cool.
I was hoping
No, you're
Caitlin
good.
Clark would be in Utah. I want to see her. I want to see her play. Not gonna lie.
She is incredible.
Yeah.
You, by the way, you coach high school basketball, right?
I do coach high school
What
basketball.
school do you coach?
Mountain Ridge in Harriman.
At? Oh, okay.
The newer high school out in Harriman.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's fun. I love those boys.
What is that? Is that 3A, 4A,
It's 6.
6A?
Yeah.
Oh
So-
wow.
Way off.
Harriman has a 6A.
Got 2 6As.
Oh my
Got
gosh.
Harriman High School, Mountain Ridge High School. It's getting crazy out
It's
there.
so crowded out
Yeah,
there.
it's wild.
Wow.
So
That's cool. That
Yeah.
must be tons of fun.
it's a lot of fun. These kids, you see them come in as ninth graders and leave as seniors and just change that whole time. And yeah, it's really cool.
It's amazing what sports does.
Yep.
It's pretty incredible. All right. Well, we'll see everybody tomorrow then.
All right.
Yeah. So